Fucking hell, this is hard. My notes. This is my story about OCD and why I didn't drink at university. So why am I sharing this? A couple of different reasons, really. Obviously, it's a very difficult time with lockdown 2 kicking around. There's a lot of people growing fantastic moustaches. Evidently, I'm one of those people. And it might actually be quite fun to understand a bit about what goes on inside someone else's head, because no one else really shares that stuff. What is OCD? Within our brains, we have got these inbuilt systems that are there to protect us. And sometimes these systems, due to a traumatic experience, can cause them to get a bit out of whack and to start being too prominent in your mind. I developed something called Emetophobia, which is the fear of throwing up. It's quite common, apparently. So if you feel like you don't like throwing up, you're part of a cool squad that I've just made. The traumatic experience that happened to me, I was 16, I was into the gym shop, I finished a session as normal, chugged my protein shake, and then threw up. My whole life changed in that moment, and for the next 2 weeks or so, I couldn't eat a thing. I felt so ill. It meant that I essentially started to think I can't eat without feeling ill. And so I think that it transitioned from being a physiological response into a psychological response. If I eat, I feel sick. If I feel sick, I then have this horrible experience again. And so my brain put 2 and 2 together and was just like, you ain't being sick again. And so over the next 3 months or so, I literally didn't eat a thing. And so I went from 93 kilos down to about 66, so nearly a 30 kilo difference. That photo is horrendous. When I look at that, I'm like, holy shit, that is concerning. The reason why I didn't drink was because I knew that people who drank a lot threw up. And so I was like, I ain't drinking. For about 6 years, I had this thing in the back of my head where every time I ate, I would feel ill. That all of my decisions were based on, would I be sick? I nearly didn't end up going to university because I was so concerned about what it's going to be like, what the pressures to drink going to be like. So I nearly didn't play rugby, and I was petrified. I was genuinely so scared because I knew the reputation that rugby had with socials, about drinking, and I was like, I literally cannot do that. Dating was so hard. Because it's like, hey, let's go to a bar, because that's what you do on first dates. Can I have a mojito and a Ribena? I wish I had Ribena. It feels like you're living a lie, because I've got a story in my head that's playing, and I don't want to share this with anyone, because I think that it might be weird. It was hard. To be perfectly honest, it was really hard. I had people who were really close to me call it a weird food thing. I heard rumours on the grapevine that I cared too much about my physique and that I was a narcissist and that I loved myself. All of these things were adding up in my head as other concerns and other anxieties. And that's the real challenge, is that it doesn't come on hard straight away. It just gradually builds. It's like the frog in boiling water. You don't realise it's happening at the time and that it's escalating. You think, I can manage this, until it gets to a point where you have to realise, yo, this is wild. About 6 years or so where pretty much every single decision, every single thought that I had was in some way linked in with emetophobia. I briefly mentioned it to my parents and to Dan, my best friend. Just by doing that, it all of a sudden felt slightly freeing. I eventually booked in to Birmingham Healthy Minds, speaking to a therapist. It was honestly game-changing, because I was then starting to pick up on, hang on, this is one of those thoughts that isn't facilitative. The problem and the idea just started to disintegrate. But because I was able to open up about it, I then was able to see the cracks and then break into them. You've just got to understand when there's a problem and when you need to start mentioning it to people. Because holding it in only adds to the spiral. Sharing it, you start to see cracks in your logic. That's the importance of sharing it. Because in your head, this mind has got you to where you are. It controls your beliefs that construct how the entire world works. And for you to admit that something may not be right is pretty ballsy. And to be comfortable with that, that's a whole other question. And now that I'm out on the other side, I wouldn't change it. I think that it's meant that I have quite early on in my life gone through something that is surprisingly challenging. Really helped shape my life and where I want to go, what I want to do, what I want to be, and it's made me a stronger person. I guess this is a message to anyone that's watching, because everyone is going through shit. Everyone has cool stories. Firstly, everyone I genuinely believe is interesting, but also everyone is going through something that you don't realise. That should feel empowering, because you know that you're not the only one. You are more powerful than you believe. You've managed to do all the shit that you've managed to do whilst having this big old thing looming over you. That's fucking powerful. Big up yourself. Peace.